I say it every day. I need to stop scrolling through Twitter and Facebook and things like that during the breaks and before I go on the air, because I always end up finding something comical or funny and makes me laugh or want to chuckle before I start the show. But hey, everybody, welcome once again to the Schmidt Show here on News Radio 1029 KARN. My name is Brad Schmidt. I, of course, am your host, and we're glad you're here. Spend a little bit of time with us. To those of you watching us on Twitter, on the YouTube channel, whether it's on our website. If you go to newsradio1029.com, there's a lot of things you can do there. Of course, not just listen live, not just get the news of the day, but there's our on-demand tab. You click on the on-demand tab and you can see past episodes of my show. You can see the most recent episodes and past episodes of the Arkansas 15-Minute Podcast. You can also see episodes from Call of the Wild and the Steve Finnegan Show as well. So head on over to the website. But if you click on the on-demand tab, or actually if you just kind of hover over the on-demand tab, you'll see a link that says Karn TV. And if you click on that, you can see the live broadcast. And I don't usually broadcast the whole show. It's usually just the first opening segment. But if you want to see what I look like, if you want to point and laugh at my silly mug and crazy facial hair or whatever you want to laugh at me about, you can do that. If you want to see what watch I'm wearing today, I'm wearing my 1970 Seiko 6139 chronograph. You're going to see what shirt I'm wearing, whatever. You can do that. Not that most people care, but yeah, if it's something that you're interested in or curious about, you can do that. And so at the end of it, though, you've got to kind of click off of there and click onto the Listen Live tab, or click onto your app on your phone, or just turn on your good old-fashioned radio and listen to us on the broadcast that way. So there is a lot to talk about today, a lot to get into. Of course, the Unlocked TV show on Netflix about the Pulaski County Detention Facility, Pulaski County Regional Detention Facility. That show opened last night at 2 a.m. They dropped the episode or the series. I watched the first episode today. I'm going to be honest, it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. There's a lot of cursing, a lot of vulgar language. You're in a prison, so I'm just going to warn you, if that stuff offends you, you're probably not going to watch it. You're not going to want to watch it. If that kind of language, that kind of the glorification of criminal behavior, things like that, if that is something that is offensive to you, you're probably not going to watch this, or not going to want, to watch this show. It's everything you expected it to be. If you were looking for something to make Little Rock, make Arkansas look dumb, look goofy, silly, rednecky, whatever you wanted to, or whatever you expected this show to do, it will absolutely satisfy your every desire for a TV show that will make Arkansas and criminals in Arkansas look like idiots. So I'll just warn you ahead of time. This is going to be banging in Little Rock all over again. This is going to be another reason for people to go look at all those idiots down in Arkansas and how stupid they all are. And it's very frustrating. It is very, very frustrating, because since I've lived here for the last 2 years, I've really quite come to enjoy living in Arkansas. I've really come to call Arkansas home. And it's frustrating to me that once again, there is more reality, quote unquote. And I say that with very, very a loose description of what reality is, but they claim it's a reality show. I can tell you just from watching the first episode, it is heavily edited, and there is nothing quote unquote real about it. I don't have to watch the behind the scenes. I don't have to watch the blooper reel or anything like that. You can tell very, very quickly that it is heavily edited to tell a story more than it is to tell the reality or the truth about the situation. So we'll get into that story. I'm curious to find out if any of you watch it. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some more questions surrounding the Brian Malinowski, the former executive director of the Little Rock Airport, the shootout in which he died. More questions surrounding that. Even the former producer of the Schmidt Show, producer JMO, sent me a text message this morning that said that that showed me a video of our former governor, Mike Huckabee, kind of breaking down the situation. And so there's some more discussion, more questions coming up surrounding that whole situation. Some undercover video of an FBI agent has been released. I'm not sure who this is, but there's a group that calls themselves Sound Investigations. They do kind of the James O'Keefe undercover video kind of stuff. Apparently, I've never heard of these guys before. This is the first I've seen them, and they've got an undercover video of a guy named Gavin O'Blennis, and Gavin O'Blennis is a contracting officer with the CIA and a former, I believe it was I'm trying to see if they have I thought they had on the page here, his like LinkedIn page or his biography. He is a current member of is a current immigration services analyst with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. He's a former FBI agent of some sort, a procurement specialist and an operations technician. It says that he collected, compiled, and distributed operational information to team members that aligned interagency efforts during investigations and special operations and blah, 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 a bunch of other stuff. And so he bragging about how the FBI could just kind of put anyone in jail. He says, and I'm quoting from the video, you can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do. And the journalist asks, well, how? And he says, well, you set them up. And the undercover journalist asks, does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot? And his response was, quote, we get really close. We call it a nudge. And the journalist says, well, what do you mean a nudge? And he says, sometimes you just got to give them a quick little just to see what happens. And then this quote is and should disturb all of us. He says, sometimes you just light the fuse and just wait for it to follow. And he says, nothing like putting a fake social media thing to like really get people mad. This is a guy who worked with the FBI that did this. And these people are raiding people's homes, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the ATF, whether it's whatever. They are raiding people's homes, including the former president of the United States. It goes on to talk about in the video how they were actively working to set up Alex Jones. And in fact, Alex Jones, I believe, has now filed a lawsuit suing the FBI and the CIA for based on this video. Because basically everything Alex Jones was claiming about the FBI trying to set him up, trying to entrap him, was actually going on. And this guy admitted it. He said, we were going after Alex Jones hardcore. That was his words. We were going after him hardcore. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm curious if any of you have seen the video on that. There was apparently an insurrection in the Senate yesterday or the day before, another insurrection. There was 50 people arrested. They were arrested in the Senate cafeteria because they were shut down, because they were there protesting Israel, right? And Senate can't eat until Gaza eats was what they were shouting. So, so another insurrection in Washington, D.C. that Democrats don't care about for even a moment. So we'll get into that discussion today. Speaking of the FBI and telling lies and being generally untrustworthy, there's an organization that kind of keeps an eye on the FBI and a watchdog group or whatever you want to call it. And apparently this independent group of law enforcement officials and analysts say that the FBI is misreporting violent crime rates, and that violent crime rates are actually much, much higher than is being reported because otherwise it would look bad for the administration. So they're just actively misreporting crime statistics. So we'll talk a little bit about that. David Hogue, the grifter extraordinaire, apparently living very lavishly on the millions of dollars he's raised to help elect Democrats that are anti-gun, which he really didn't do anything of that sort. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about him because he's also engaging in a debate. A few weeks back, I had Spike Cohen. He's the founder and CEO of an organization called We Are the Power, and he is actually going to be debating at Dartmouth University tonight. He's going to be debating David Hogue on the issue of gun control. So we'll get into that a little bit. And then apparently Joe Biden did an interview with some Spanish language TV, Univision or somebody like that, and lied about basically everything, claiming once again that children, the number one cause of death in children in America is guns, which is just not true. And then he claimed that he taught the Second Amendment at when he was a professor, and that just wasn't true at all either. So basically lied about everything and as he always does, but basically made himself look like a fool. So we'll even get into that today. So like I said, as we always say, there is a lot to get to, a lot to talk about, and we will do that as we continue with the Schmidt Show. And if you are watching us on video, you'll have to join us over on the regular broadcast or on the live stream on our website or the app and continue to follow the discussion and join in on the discussion next on News Radio 102.9 KARN.